If you're doing a degree that trains for one particular job and that job only, that job better be such a standard part of the economy that you cannot escape this role in any way, shape, or form. If I optimize my search term on this job website, 1,000 times more jobs than just that one single role. Hello, welcome back to the Crossover Connections with a Jack Wang podcast. My name is Jack and I'm an Australian scientist and professor. Whose job is it anyway? Our recurring part of the podcast talking about employability and jobs in the future of science and tech. Someone, somewhere at some point in time, put the job genetic counselor into every single high school career counselor's notebook at some career counselor fair and told them, if your students study science, they can get a job as a genetic counselor. And I've had so many students come through high school into university thinking that all of them will walk into a genetic counselor job because genetic testing is going to take over the world and everyone's going to need to make sense of the information and talk to someone about what their genetics mean. That is a very specific job that not everyone is cut out for, because you have to know both the science behind why the genetic test is interpreted the way it is, which takes a lot of training. But you couple that also with the counselor side, having the people skills, having the communication skills to empathize with someone going through the familial trauma of dealing with generations of inherited disease and the impact it's going to have on their children and their children's children. You need a very specific individual to straddle both of those skill sets to do this job well. Nevertheless, it's a very important work, but I just want to highlight that it's maybe not a routine part of the science and tech economy just yet. Let's do a quick search for genetic counselor jobs in Australia, and you can see that across our country using this web portal, there are 27 results for the search term genetic counselor. And if you actually look through the results here, there's a diagnostic audiologist, a customer care operator at a children's research institute. There is a CEO. Well, that's good. A CEO. That would be a nice job to have. A specialist in molecular pathology, a head of legal, a fertility nurse. So really, all of these are adjacent to the job of genetic counselor. It's not actually a genetic counselor job. So this is just to reinforce the idea that this job is a very important role, but it is not yet a standard part of our science and tech economy. Does it mean that you shouldn't be aiming to study science and tech and genetics in particular because this was the only job you thought you should be doing? No, of course. It's really important to study science because science will teach you the transferable skills that are applicable across multiple sectors, multiple industries. And I'll give you a case in point. If I optimize my search term on this job website, and instead of searching for a very specific job, genetic counselor, I search for just the term genetics more broadly. So we had 27 jobs searching for genetic counselor, but we just searched for genetics. We've expanded our pool into over 1,000 jobs, 1,122 jobs. So there are sales engineers, there are study directors for immunoassays at biolabs, there are scientist jobs, there are genetic product specialist jobs, there are certain different types of scientists, future scientists, administrative officers that work for cancer genetics companies, cancer genetics places and organizations. If you're doing a degree that trains for one particular job, that job better be such a standard part of the economy that you cannot escape this role in any way, shape, or form. Doctors, lawyers, nurses, all of these are essential workers that have to be around. That's how those professions can still manage to recruit and train a lot of people every year. Genetic counselor is one very specific job, but the skills you need to become a genetic counselor, understanding genetics, understanding laboratory skills, the analytical skills, as well as the communication skills, they can be applied towards 1,000 times more jobs than just that one single role. So as you're approaching your study and career options, don't go into thinking that I can only do this one job or I'm only training for this one very specific role, because if the economy changes, if the world pivots and there's no longer that much demand for that one very specific job, unless, of course, again, your job that you really want is the role that will never, ever change. I'm not really sure I know of any job that will never, ever change. Having and understanding of learning transferable skills applicable across multiple areas will always benefit you more in terms of your value to any employer than having tunnel vision trying to train for one very specific job, or at the very least that one very specific job you're heading towards hopefully will make you learn lots of different skills that are broadly applicable and that is much more useful in any employability landscape. Change is the only constant, and you will be ready for the next challenge ahead. As always, thank you for listening. I'm Jack. Hope to connect with you again next time around.